This is Critical Nonsense, our high-low-brow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, Aaron asks us about making sense.
Woo!
I just got click clack moo stuck in my head, and I
Bring it in. Bring it in. That's what we
children's book. Click clack moo. But I don't know. This is what a Joey sounds like.
Oh.
This is. Oh no, you.
Yep. Do it.
This is what an Aaron sounds like. Why am I doing it?
No, you know. Oh, this is the story of an Aaron. That's what it's gonna be. Wow, messiest open, but so good and so right. I love it.
This is what an executive producer and karma police officer Jess Vander sounds like.
This is Jess.
That's really good. Why is that not a Halloween costume that I haven't seen? Like, that's so good. A karma police officer? That is great. I don't know.
Are you like dressed like Buddha, but with like a badge on or something?
Yeah. I love. Brilliant.
I think our house is clean.
I think so. Rate, review, subscribe. I like to do the little
5 stars, 5 stars.
Yeah. Animation. Okay, we're gonna do probably a little bit of a shorter episode today, which is probably how we do it, right?
Yeah,
because we're really succinct, which is actually what is on my mind a little bit. Not really about succinctness, but clarity. And it has been said to me. I've been told before. People have responded to me with the word "huh," or "what," or like "could you explain that?" Like, I get that. I understand. I got a lot of thoughts, but and I don't always communicate them in a terribly clear fashion. Exhibit A, this sentence.
Case in point.
But I am nothing if not self-aware, or maybe even too self-aware. And so I have a really and our entire job as strategists is supposed to be to navigate ambiguity and make it simple, make it digestible, make the complex utterly effortless, right? And so the irony of that being one of my defining character traits, and this being literally the way that I put food on the table, is not lost on me. So I come to you hat in hand as a fellow human being trying to figure out how to wear this skin suit better, with the question, how do you make sense?
Well, I'm going to eat my hat.
No.
I mean... It's so funny, like, Aaron, I feel like you and I are probably in a more similar place, although different styles of this.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Jess, I think is so much better at this than us.
Agreed.
So maybe Jess, you should tell us both how to make sense.
I make sense?
Yes.
I feel like I make sense and people don't like it. I'm like, oh no.
We liked it better when we didn't understand.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can get away with more when you're not saying all the things you think.
Oh, that's actually really great advice. And okay, so, and I'll add a little context to this, because I feel like just what you just said is actually what's going on in my head usually, which is that I frequently experience a 40-car pileup of thoughts to pretty much any question that anyone asks me about anything. It can be mundane, it can be complex, it can be it can just be like, what milk should we get from the grocery store? And I have all of these considerations. And so when I was younger, people would look at me because I would be stopping and thinking, and they'd be like, "Are you still here? What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm thinking." And they're like, "This ain't that serious. It ain't that heavy." And so my coping mechanism was then to explain the 40 car pileup, because they were like, "What are you thinking?" And I was like, "Well, if you said you wanted to know, I'll bring you in." And man, is thought not linear. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you communicate. Thought is so not linear. And I bow down to the people like Jess who are so adept at being able to like make it a single thought intuitively or like instinctively, like make it make sense before it comes out of the mouth. Whereas I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I'm realizing as you were saying that, like, where, if you had to think about like what is the one place that you're going back to, like where is home base in your personal exercise for this, my goal is to be looking in the same direction and have the same understanding. So I'm constantly trying to like make sure like we're standing shoulder to shoulder, like thinking about something. What that winds up creating is often I'm over explaining to ensure. I'm saying it like a couple different ways, but I'm saying the same thing a couple different ways. Like Jess has talked to me about this before, where I think earlier in my career, what would happen would be that like conversation of like, I'm not sure I understand what you mean, or I say I understand what you mean, but we come back later and I clearly didn't. And, you know, independent of whether I was leading a team or I was being led by somebody else, like that exercise of like, I thought we were in the same place, but we were not. And so I've like overcorrected in that direction to be like, are we looking at the same thing? Do we have the shared understanding? Do we have the same facts? Then we can make a decision together. And I think that's probably also like being from a reasonably big family of like always, you know, starting my career where Ben and I were like attached at the hip, and we needed to constantly be having a shared understanding of things so then we could be operating independent of each other if we're covering a ton of ground. And I think, you know, now I'm in a place where I'm like, oh, did I say that 3 times and I only needed to say it once? Probably.
I love it. I love it because it usually, like, none of these things, few of these things come from one place. It comes from like a lot of different, like a little bit of an alchemy of intention, feedback received, and outcomes you've experienced. We're all running the experiment kind of, and it is an interesting experiment that like no one can know every thought that's going on in someone's head. We are all hampered by the methods of communication that we have, be they visual or verbal or the written word, the produced artifact, the experience, whatever the case may be. And like, I think that one thing that I was actually saying to someone the other day who was trying to deal with some interpersonal conflict with a fellow team member was to remember that everybody, no matter what, is just dying to be understood. Like, whether it is to be understood in service of being able to look at the same thing, or being understood, you know, purely as a validative act because they didn't receive that sort of validation professionally or personally in the past. And even when somebody is coming hard at you, if you come from a place of trying to understand where they're coming from, it diffuses conflict. It diffuses the like reaction, because then it's just, I'm trying to understand how we were looking at the same thing differently. I'm trying to understand how we had a different angle at the same goalpost or different goalposts.
Yeah, it's interesting because clarity has 2 pieces, and for each piece 2 sides, and you've both touched on both, I think. Like, clarity of thought. Do you know what it is, whatever it is. Do you know what it is? And then Joey, to your point about standing shoulder to shoulder, is like, do they know what it is? And
Mhm.
that is one part of like, is the thought itself clear? And then there's the clarity of communication, which Aaron, I feel like you're touching on the other side of, which is like, have you communicated this thought? And then have they understood or received this the
Yeah.
same way or clearly, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's like that act of understanding what another person's intention is too in communicating those things. Like I have this one moment for whatever reason, it just like has stuck in it was like a learning moment for me, and it just like is stuck. We had done a bunch of work on a project. We were working with a client who have a long relationship with, very senior, like good relationship. And we had done a bunch of work for this thing. We came in and they were just like, we shared some stuff and they're like, I think we need to go in another direction. And like that, what, and they just took like a really hard turn really quick. And we were like, what's going on? And I just took a moment. I was like, we did a lot of work. We've been working side by side. I know this is the right direction to go. And I was just like, hey, we're going to do whatever you want on this call. Like, let me just explain to you why I think that's not the right decision and we should do this. But no matter what, we're going to do what you want. This is your work, whatever. At the end of it, they were like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Great, let's go. And it was just like, oh, we weren't sitting on the same page. You thought I was trying to push you to make a decision without having thought it through or going through it. And as soon as she understood that I was sort of like, I want to help you do what you need to do, and here's why I think this will help you, and she had control of the decision, then all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, like let's run with that. That's great. But she didn't understand my intention while navigating that moment. And just by clarifying it, all of a sudden you could be like, cool, we can now share our understanding and we'll make a decision at the end and we'll move on.
It's so interesting to think of a concept as merely as trust, as simply like baked in assumption.
Mm-hmm.
Because like because I've been in that similar situation before and whatnot, and you know, a lot of times it gets talked about as just like, oh, trust has built up over time, so they know where you're headed, or they trust that wherever you're going to go is going to be in the right direction. But I think that what you're nodding at is like the meta conversation that we're always, or the meta thoughts and the meta conversation that's going on, which is around the intentions behind what decisions are made. And like, it's really difficult to try to have that meta conversation at the same time that you're having the conversation. And it sounds like one of the things that's really powerful when we think about, you know, how do you make sense? Being able to recognize the two conversations and maybe even put them on the table at certain moments is really valuable. But Jess is giving a face of, I don't agree, and I want to know.
No, I do. I think it's so interesting because I think that on its face, one might assume that the opposite or the enemy of clarity is mess. Of like, there's too many things and it's messy. And so to be clear is to be singular and to focus on the right thing or the one thing. But it's interesting that we're talking about assumption because that assumption is picking a thing, but maybe the wrong thing. And so it's like, clarity has like multiple enemies. The first one is like too many options, but then and that would be mess. But the second is like, and then picking the wrong one or jumping to conclusions is its own. And that assumption is the next stage gate of clarity's, minefields.
Yeah, I think the context window of those things of like, where are you coming from? Where am I coming from? Do we have shared context like of intention? Like in that example I gave, it ultimately what it showed was I was thinking about her job, her context, all of the things that she assumed that I wasn't. And then it opened it up. But like, how much do you have to, I think Aaron, like you sort of said, like, I'm trying to give the whole context window so someone can understand like every rationale, all of the facts, all of the understanding. and is that necessary or not, is like, it's not always clear, whether like you have to fill the whole context window or not.
Yes. And it goes to, Jess, your way that you divided like the two pieces of it. Specifically that first bit of like, are we like, do you know the thing and do I know the thing? Like, are we clear on what the thing is? Are each of us clear on what the thing is? And I think it gets multiplied when you have to consider the context window and the intentions behind that and the context that you have. It's like, I guess the things that come to mind are, one, is everyone really clear on what contextual factors are influencing the ways that they're responding to any individual conversation stimulus thing? And the answer is no. So much of it is baked into our gut or is unexamined past experience that we don't quite understand why that reflex is what it is. Or we may not even realize it's a reflex because other people haven't told us that we have that reflex and we're blind to it. And so having clarity of what those things are is really important in being able to craft that window. And then when you add in the fact that we work in a highly collaborative, highly creative field, so much is about exploring and shaping space, intellectual and conceptual space together, that oftentimes we don't know what the thing is because we're purposefully bringing in like a partial Lego box to get other people to add their pieces in and to like build something that we can look at and make sense of it. And likewise, it's the benefit of having really interesting, curious, smart, diverse minds around you is that you're like, oh, I thought that the boat we were building was a yacht, but actually we're building the Thunder in Paradise Speedster. I used to watch, Hulk Hogan. We won't go there.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope.
For another context window.
Yes. We love breaking the frame on that one. But I do think that like I find a lot of joy in like kind of meandering through and coming to realization with other people. That's like a serendipity of life that I love. But I also think that there's a time and a place in which that's helpful or not. And I find it very challenging to see the edges of that often. And it's, again, it serves some moments, but doesn't serve all moments.
Yeah. Like you said, like early on, right? Like everyone wants to be seen. And sometimes being seen means like sharing how you understand or see the world or the things around you, like how you're processing. Like sometimes it's about an attribute you have or, a thing that you've worked to grow or foster. And sometimes it's just like, oh, this is how I internalize that. I want, it is like some of that being seen is feeling like someone is next to you and understands you. And even if the decision at the end doesn't match your understanding, you get there together as opposed to having a thing foisted upon you where no one had the chance to like listen to how you saw it, and then you feel like disincluded in the exercise, right?
Yes. I remember when I first learned about I statements, and I think that like the thing behind I statements I think is about trying to get to that, is trying to get at like like being really clear about how you receive something and separating that from your assumption of the deliverer's intent. And so it creates space for that meta commentary or that meta moment to happen. And it's a verbal signal to separate yourself from that. And I think like there's so many different places in which we have the opportunity to highlight what those things are because it can create better creativity, like better space for creativity. And creates the space as well to like, it creates the necessary space for evaluation. It creates the necessary space for certainly building something that you can't imagine, which is kind of, that's literally in the word creativity, create, trying to build something new. And I really love the idea of like proving that you understand someone or that you see them by explaining how you're experiencing their existence. You know, it's like, it's actually not about you. It's about me. And I want to let you know how I'm receiving this. And like, oh, our context window is now aligned, you know? I don't know that I ever said that when I was outside the club and somebody like rolled up on me at like 4 a.m. Outside of Mirabar in Providence, Rhode Island. But whatever, that's what people do after a night at the club, after all the drinking and the dancing.
I mean, you know what's a funny thing about the drinking component of this is pre-gaming to like sharing context windows and sharing understanding is about so that you're going into an experience in synchrony to be synchronized like in your mental like state of drinking alcohol or doing whatever you're doing, is like making sure we're aligned so that we're coming from different places, we're coming in together, we're going to be together, we're going to go out to a club, and now let's make sure we're aligned so that our context window is the same. So we have the same amount of drinks we do, and all of a sudden your brain literally starts operating differently. Like it mirrors the other people when you can get one of those synchronized states. So we're all just trying to get synchronized.
Well, and you made me think of the moments when you are working together with people in person and like everyone's putting everybody puts their laptop down and then someone's running to get a glass of water. And it's like that I used to only think of that as a buffer window, like to let your mind sort of calm and reset before you go into the next meeting that you're having or conversation that you're having. But it is a synchronicity moment. It's also a moment of like, all right, and that's why those like couple of minutes of just like, how's everybody doing? Where is it? What energy is everybody coming into the room with? If we acknowledge it, that's helpful because then you can get a little bit of that context window before two people take each other's heads off over that positioning line or that creative concept. You know, it's like, it ain't that serious. And so sometimes you just need to know what the not serious part was before you start doing the work. And that's good.
Yeah, let's get on the level. Jess, do you have a way of helping our understanding about understanding in a wrap-up corner?
Yeah, it's funny that this conversation started talking about making sense, like how do I get an idea to be clearer? And of course, we touched on that, maybe it's a matter of thinking something through more, which you don't have to do alone. You can collaborate with people, and that helps fend off the ambiguity of the mess of a lot of different ideas. But I think where we found ourselves is that clarity, making sense is also an inherently people thing, and that to drive clarity of understanding between people is about communicating and spending time with them. That helps us fend off these blind spots of assumption. It helps us listen for their intention, even if we're not consciously doing it. Just being around other people can help us get closer to understanding where they're coming from and having them do the same for us, sharing more context windows, getting more in sync. And so making sense has to be this push and pull of both creating clarity of ideas, but also creating clarity among ourselves as regular people, just trying to be out here and be understood and heard. So I don't know if that makes sense.
I see what you did there.
It's working for me.
See what you did there. That made a lot of sense. And I thank you for inviting us in through your context window. That was helpful.
Aaron, we just need Jess to speak for us only. Like just
Yes. That is not the first or last time that I've thought that.
Have you seen those memes about like AI where it has like the forward facing mask, but there's just like a monster behind it? I feel like Jess could do that for my monster. Just be like, make it make sense. Here's the storm. You make it make sense.
Yes. I love you guys. This is great.
Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by This Fall on NBC. The person who comes running in the window is not someone you expected. It's the Understandinator. I'll be back for understanding. See you at 8/7 Central. Ba-boom. There we go. Yeah.
As always, we'd like to thank executive producer and logician Jess Vander.
I'm sorry, that one tickled me, but specifically while laughing at Jess laughing at me is very joyful. I feel seen and understood. We'd also like to thank sound engineer and the Understandinator of our lives, Alex Contel. Mm-hmm.
We'd like to thank our programming coordinator and compeller, Les Jacobs.
Sarah Gilbert, Christy Jensen, Amy Waters, Nora Mestrich. Is that it? Amanda Medina. Oh, I'm sick. I love you all. God, this is the worst. You don't understand. I'm sorry.
As always, thanks, Alen. Special thanks to the Understandinator.
If a listener could please draw the Understandinator and send that to criticalnonsense@sylvain.co, we'd really appreciate that.
Special thanks to Pal World, which mixed feelings about, because it seems like it's taken a lot of things from a lot of other places, but it's still fun to play. I've been playing it. It's got some Soulsborne mixed in there. Clearly got Pokemon mixed in there. Although they would say, nope, it's not Pokemon.
Right.
We use Pal Balls, and these aren't Pokemon, they're pals. Of course, they look exactly the same. That's irrelevant. It's different. But it's fun.
Because you thanked Pal World, I will thank Jake Baldino, who is my favorite he's my favorite game reviewer, and he also keeps up with just gaming industry news a lot, and his coverage over the years of Pal World, to someone who's never played it, has just been delightful. I've learned so much about Nintendo and the makers of Pal World and the gaming community, and it's been very cool to watch and behold.
I'd like to thank Cake.
What about cookies?
Not today, but some days.
It actually hurts. It was so earnest. Oh, the look on your face. I'm so sorry. This is an audio format, and I keep on referencing faces. Oh my God. Oh.
Why are you think just Cake generally just like, today's your day, Cake? You done did it again. No one thought you could do it. No one thought you could do it, but you did.
Don't forget.
Don't forget about Cake.
You are so right. Don't forget about Cake. I am literally, it is 11:58 a.m. in my time zone. What am I having for lunch now? Cake.
Cake. Cake.
Go get me some cake. Thanks, Jess. Really
Don't forget. If you were wondering if I was forgetting about Cake, I'm not. Just so you know.
Yes. Don't be sleeping on Cake.
Thanks,
you go
Cake.
sleeping on Cake. God, which is also
and
good
cookies.
advice.
And cookies, frankly, why are you trying to get engaged in this conversation? Today's not your day.
Yeah, today's not today. Not today. Not today. We need that big blue furry guy to sit down and shut up and just wait for a minute. That was a Cookie Monster reference. I don't know if
but where's the Cake Monster?
It's true. They've forgot about Cake.
They forgot.
Right. They might have. Thank you so much.
We did it. Love you. Mean it. Bye.
Bye.